I've said often that this is certainly my favorite day of the year, and I've made the sentiment that it's often as good as Christmas Day for me. And as Dr. Rebar made note, the weather certainly cooperated with my sentiment today, so enjoy. I am deeply honored to welcome you all to our 10th annual Ribbons of Excellence Day program at Adrian College. As I said, this is truly my favorite day of the year. This day is a day dedicated to celebrating the amazing scholarly accomplishments of our students through presentations, exhibitions, and performances. The Ribbons of Excellence form the foundation of our shared values at Adrian College, and each presentation today is linked to at least one thematic ribbon. At this time, I would like to acknowledge some very important people. First and foremost, thank you so very much to each and every one of you students who are participating in this special day. We understand the countless hours of time and study that you've invested into this day. We are all so proud of your hard work, perseverance, dedication, and clearly your love of learning. We support you and look forward to your future success. You are all a true inspiration to me. Thank you. Also, a thank you to all of the family and friends of our students. Your support is instrumental, and we are thrilled that you are joining us today to celebrate them and their accomplishments. Today is the culmination of at least 1 year of preparation by our students and their mentors. As was so eloquently explained at the opening session this morning by Professor Beth Myers and Dr. Michael Klaus, the Ribbons of Excellence Day is a tradition that began in 2008 and developed out of a faculty initiative the year before to create and support our academic culture. It is because of the unwavering support of these two faculty members, along with countless more faculty and staff, that this day has happened for 10 years now and will continue into our future. So thank you so very much to all Adrian College faculty as well as staff who have volunteered their time and expertise in making this day happen. Your service and support enables us to facilitate this experience for our young scholars. And finally, a very, very special thank you to Dr. Elizabeth McGaw. Dr. McGaw has been an amazing facilitator of this program. She has done an extraordinary job, and I am so deeply grateful for your countless hours, Dr. McGaw, of work to provide each of you and all of us with this amazing day. Again, thank you and congratulations to each and every one of you, and enjoy the rest of your day. And at this time, Dr. McGaw will come up. Thank you.
All right, on to our speakers. So I'm excited to introduce our speakers today. Our speakers are 3 recent alumni. They have a really wide variety of backgrounds and careers. We've asked each one of them to share a little bit about the impact that Adrian had on their path, leading them up to now, and if they could share a little bit of insights with you guys that are kind of right in the middle of determining your future. I'm going to introduce each one of them and allow them to speak and share their story. After all 3 of them have concluded, we'll have some time for questions from the audience, so kind of be thinking about things you might want to ask these folks. So first up is Mr. Courtney Price. Mr. Price is a 2011 alumnus who earned a Bachelor of Arts with a major in criminal justice. During his time here at Adrian College, he participated in track and field. He was the student body president for 2 years and vice president of Alpha, the president of Root, and the historian and secretary of Tau Kappa Epsilon. He was also a McNair Scholar at Siena Heights University and represented Adrian College on the Michigan College Alliance. So while working, he also has completed a master's degree at Siena Heights University in organizational leadership. Currently, he is a Children's Protective Services specialist investigating child abuse and neglect for Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. When he was a student here, he presented in the 2011 Ribbons of Excellence Conference is in a presentation called A Qualitative Study of a 10-Week Adrian College Teen Mentoring Class, Do Perceptions of Mentoring Change for the Mentors? And his mentors were Adali Feliciano and William Turgay. He also did a second presentation as part of the Adrian College McNair Scholars Senior Cohort, and they were mentored by Dr. Jim Martin. So at this point, I'm going to bring up Mr. Price, and he can share a little bit about his story.
Hey, everybody. The itis must be kicking in. That food must be really good. Again, my name is Courtney Price. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I'll be honest with you all. I didn't know where Adrian College was or where Adrian, the city, was on the map for a very long time until coming here. My mother drove me from Detroit, Michigan, past Dearborn and Belleville, Ann Arbor, Saline, Brooklyn, and Tecumseh. With the exception of Ann Arbor and Dearborn, I had no clue where we were, and I was terrified. However, my experience at Adrian College was just like my car ride to Adrian. It was extraordinary. I chose to take advantage of anything and everything that Adrian College had to offer. Before coming, I just figured I'd do my 4 years and be an alumni of Adrian College, go Bulldogs, and go back home and get a job. Instead, I joined the track team. I helped recolonize Tau Kappa Epsilon, or the TEEKs. Became a student body president, and I conducted a 2-year project that I presented at the Ribbons of Excellence almost 10 years ago. What's so amazing about the Ribbons of Excellence is it gives you the platform to become a leader, create original ideas, cross boundaries, and redefine boundaries. The Ribbons of Excellence made me confident, exposed my weaknesses, pushed my limits, and made me a well-rounded scholar. I came to Adrian College wanting to be a lawyer, and I was in a legal research and analysis program here. However, nearing the end of my program, I didn't do so well, and I discovered that I wanted to be a lawyer. I didn't want to be a lawyer anymore. I found myself wanting to make a difference in a different way. Instead of going back to school, I discovered that I was in my field. I had to rediscover why I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to help people, provide guidance, give people a voice, and ensure their safety. Something I did for my 4 years at Adrian College. In the midst of looking for jobs, I humbled myself, took on jobs such as a crew member at McDonald's, a security guard, and a canvasser. That continued to make me a well-rounded person. I would say in my last 7 years, I would say I have become an embodiment of the Ribbons of Excellence. And so will you. Due to Adrian College being a liberal arts college and the implementation of the Ribbons of Excellence, you'll always be seen as a scholar throughout your lifetime. Thank you.
Our second speaker is Mr. Peter Tomasek. Mr. Tomasek is also a 2011 alumnus. He earned a Bachelor's of Arts degree with a major in psychology and journalism. He then attended Western Michigan University Cooley Law School, graduating with a Juris Doctor degree in 2014 and an LLM, or a Master's of Law, in Taxation in 2015. After law school, he worked as a research attorney with the Michigan Court of Appeals Research Division, and then as a law clerk for the Honorable Colleen A. O'Brien with the Court of Appeals. Currently, he works as an associate attorney with the Appellate Practice Group at Collins, Einhorn, and Farrell, PC. While he was a student here, he presented in the 2011 Ribbons of Excellence Conference as part of the Adrian College Model Arab League, and their mentor was Dr. Philip Howe. So at this point, I want to bring up Mr. Tomasek to talk to you.
afternoon. It's always kind of interesting when you get asked to speak at these kind of things. I always try to think about when I was in your guys' shoes, what I would have wanted to hear, what I would have listened to. I probably wouldn't have listened to much, frankly. And so if that's the way you feel, I apologize for that. But when I was asked to talk today, I was asked to talk about my experience at Adrian, my Ribbons of Excellence experience, and kind of how it's affected me, what role it's played in my career so far. And when I think back at my time at Adrian, I just think about how many opportunities I had, how many chances I had to cross boundaries and disciplines, to develop creativity, how many chances I had to learn throughout my lifetime, both in my 3.5 short years at Adrian and then going forward, how to think critically. And then perhaps most importantly for me was the chance that I had to care for humanity. And that's the specific point that I'd like to kind of hit home on today. A lot of the opportunities that I had to care for humanity when I was here came through my internships, came through my organizations. You know, I remember playing basketball with fraternity brothers at the Hope Center. I remember picking up trash on a Saturday morning on the side of the highway with my fraternity. I interned as a marriage counseling intern at like a marriage education place that's probably not still around anymore. And all those opportunities were very, very valuable. I hope that I was able to play a role in making a difference for people. And I wouldn't have ever had those opportunities if it wasn't for Adrian. But it's also those opportunities where I kind of look back and wonder what more I could have got out of them. I think about, that I would kind of haphazardly participate in some of those things because I was so busy trying to improve my GPA, trying to be involved in as many leadership positions as I could. I would think about how things would look on a resume, how things would look on an award application. And always in the back of my mind, I thought that once I graduated from undergrad, I would be able to really focus on the things that I wanted to do in life, the roles that I wanted to play in helping people. And then I went to law school, and I kept thinking that too. I was like, I'm going to stay really involved, but once I graduate, I'm going to be able to play a role in helping people and devoting tons of time into caring for humanity. Well, it turns out I still have all those same excuses. It's not preparing for runouts with my fraternity. It's not playing basketball with an IM team. It's not studying for a statistics for a psychology exam. This time, it's billing hundreds of hours for my firm. It's things like writing articles about fraud exclusion policies and no-fault insurance policies cases. It's things like speaking at events today. But I think that it's really important to not let those excuses stick around. And that's something that very recently I've kind of forced myself not to do. It's easy for me to do it now because I have the resources of a 60-lawyer law firm in Metro Detroit that can help me. But I could have done it then, and I just kind of look back and wonder, what if I had? How much more would I have gotten out of the experiences I had here? And so I would just encourage you guys to kind of think about when you present your Ribbons of Excellence presentation, when you get involved in the community here, when you have a chance to care for other people, to really put a lot of time and effort into that, to find something that you're truly passionate about, and to really enjoy that experience, because I think that you'll find that it also benefits the other people that you're helping to. Thanks.
And our third speaker today is Dr. Kelly Young. Dr. Young is a 2009 alumna, and she earned a Bachelor of Science degree with a major in chemistry and a minor in mathematics. She then attended graduate school at Michigan State University, where she earned a PhD in chemistry under the guidance of Tom Heyman, studying the modification of thin film photoanodes for solar water oxidation. She served as a visiting assistant professor at Hope College and is currently an assistant teaching professor in chemistry and biochemistry at the University of Notre Dame. She teaches in their general chemistry program and majors physical chemistry laboratory courses. While she was a student here, she presented as part of their first Ribbons of Excellence conference in 2009, and she presented a talk entitled, "What's in Your Vodka?" And her mentor was Dr. Michael Klaus. So at this time, I'm gonna bring up Kelly. Good
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you. As Dr. McGraw said, I was one of the actual very first presenters for Ribbons of Excellence, and I still have like a little bit of shakes here. So I teach in front of like 250 people at a time, but when there's ever anything new, this is what I get, right? So, the very first presentation, I was told you have to talk for 15 minutes, and I thought I was going to die. It's like, there's no way I'm going to talk in front of these people, and they're going to understand what I'm saying, and I can, actually get my point across. So if any of you were terrified in talking today, it gets better. Sometimes you still get the shakes and you're a little nervous, but it's a great opportunity that you'll have to be able to present something you probably all worked so hard on. So I came to Adrian in 2005, so I came to probably what you might consider old Adrian. I came to play soccer, and we were on the back 40, which is now the baseball field. The stadium was built while I was here, and so there's been a lot of changes, including Peel Hall. So I've finally seen the renovations to that, and it looks nothing like it did before. When I was here, I took all but 3 of my chemistry classes with Dr. Kloss. I had Dr. Moala for 2 of them and Dr. McCleary for another, so we spent a lot of time together. And he mentored me on my project of what's in your vodka. So for that project, I actually got to send out a letter to faculty asking them to give me booze. So I had teeny tiny little vials of vodka because I wasn't going to buy a whole bunch of different samples, and I was able to run analysis and do real research and find results. And so my ribbon that I'd like to focus with you guys on today is learning through a lifetime. So while the research on vodka may not seem like it's important, I learned a lot of critical thinking, another ribbon, and how to approach a problem and how to try to solve a problem, which is something that I've carried with me that I'm never going to leave school now that I'm still teaching. When I presented that research, sometimes I think that's the first time that maybe I really understood it. I found this going through that until you have to talk about what you've done in front of somebody, you may not fully understand it. So you do some learning as you're talking, and the questions that are asked helps you to think deeper about your project. My mom and dad came, and my mom asked me what kind of vodka she should buy. So nice embarrassing mom question. It's Smirnoff, by the way, best bang for your buck. And so when you're talking with other people, whether it's in a presentation, you get to do a poster presentation, you do a lot of learning about what you really understand. And so I really carried that through in my time of graduate school. You do a lot of learning not only on your project, but on time management and how to interact with your peers and how to keep your emotions in check and understand what it's like to grow as a person, let alone in research. One of the most difficult tasks for me as a graduate student was actually understanding how to think independently. As a student right now, you're really good at your classes and giving exactly what your professor asks for and maybe not doing a lot of thinking beyond that. So when you get to actually have your lifetime of learning, you're thinking beyond what's right in front of you. And it's a really great thing to start that path now in terms of your ribbons of excellence. So true fashion last-minute notes to prepare here. And so in my path of lifetime learning that started here at Adrian, I was really given a lot of opportunities and a lot of support. I was encouraged to do a summer research internship at REU before my senior year. And so there I learned that I loved research, and I wanted to continue that and pursue graduate school. When I was in graduate school, I was a teaching assistant, and I did an awful lot of learning there when you have to stand in front of students for the first time as a graduate TA, and the first time was terrible. It got better. I learned more, and I figured out what I understood. Then I went to the school that must not be named, Hope College, and taught there for a year, which again was a great learning experience. I had a lot more hands-on work with what it actually takes to run a successful lecture and to start to mentor students and understand what their needs are from me as a professor and not just what my needs are to run every day. And to continue that learning, I applied for several jobs looking for something long-term, and I didn't even tell my husband that I applied for a position at Notre Dame because I wasn't expecting a phone call. And I've been given an opportunity there to continue more learning. So I'm learning more deeply about my field of teaching. I'm learning how to manage working with students and teaching assistants and how to support them emotionally and academically, and encourage them to do things just like you guys are today, to really get passionate about a topic and to learn more by doing some research and presenting and talking about that. So I wanted to kind of leave you with a a little phrase that I like. I saw it on Twitter. That means it's real, right? That when you're thinking about your lifetime of learning, you might think of yourself as being kind of a phony. So as an undergrad, you might think, well, I really don't know anything at all. And maybe if you go on to graduate school, you might think, well, I'm still a phony, but I might know a little bit. And so now I say, now as a professor, everything that I thought I knew was wrong, because I'm continuing to learn more deeply about my topic. So don't stop learning. Don't let it stop here. As they mentioned from your Ribbons of Excellence, go and take that passion somewhere new and exciting and keep going there. So thank you very much.
All right, at this time, I want to open it up to questions that you may have. Really use these people as a resource. They've done some really awesome things since leaving Adrian College, and it really wasn't that long ago that they were sitting right where you guys are. So think about some things that maybe you're curious about, or some of the paths that they would have taken. And you can direct a question at a specific speaker, or if you want to direct it at the panel, and then have all of them come up and address it. And Olivia over here has a microphone, and she'll be coming around. So you guys can, so everyone can hear your question. So who wants to be first? Come on. Oh, you guys can do it. There's something out there. I have one. All right, Olivia's going to start us off. Awesome.
Hello. Okay. What advice would you give yourself as a senior 3 weeks into graduating?
So she asked, what advice would you give to yourself 3 weeks ahead of graduation? So, come on.
You're still in college, finish your papers.
I feel like I'm about to undermine that now. I was just going to say chill. When I started at Adrian, I wanted to be a family psychologist. When I left Adrian, I wanted to be a family law attorney. When I left law school, I wanted to be a tax attorney. And now I don't do anything close to any of that. So.
Can you hear me in the back if I just yell? Is that okay? Okay. I would say, try not to sweat the small stuff, and 1 minute of work does not usually equal a 2-hour Netflix break. You should try to, prioritize your time a little bit. All right, who's next? Oh, come on. Oh, I have one in the back, right over there. Olivia's on her way to you. Oh, there's people watching us on live stream. They want to hear you.
So I had the pleasure of teaching 2 out of 3 of you. And you too, Courtney. And I'm wondering if you can say something about the value of a diverse range of courses in your education and in your future successes that you've had.
You go first.
Is this on? Oh, it is. So for me, I think the diverse range of courses is pretty helpful. I tend to practice in a lot of different areas of law, but some of those areas have a lot of repetition. Pretty much every legal malpractice claim you see, which would be me representing a lawyer who allegedly messed up, those look the same every single time that you see them. But there's different ways that you can tell the story, and I think a lot of my ability to tell the story in so many different ways comes from my background and having poked around in a lot of different kind of areas. When I was here, I majored in psychology, I majored in journalism, I think I had a minor in poli-sci, and I took a few religion courses, and then I studied abroad twice, so I got like a full cup of tea when it comes to the background. But I do think that helps me to present maybe the same set of facts that judges have seen countless times in a little bit different way that makes it worth reading all 20 pages of my brief or whatever.
So I was a chemistry major, but some of my favorite classes, sorry, Dr. Class, were taking sculpture with Pi Benio and suffering wonderfully through Jim Spence's philosophy classes. and because they were hard and they made me really think. And I absolutely think that it's helped me to be a better teacher because I can understand my students that are coming from all sorts of different interests and backgrounds, and I can incorporate that into my classes. And as much as I'd love them all to be chem majors that come to me, they're not. And so I can talk to them about their interests and usually really connect. They're some of my favorite conversations that I actually have with my students. So I absolutely think taking a multitude of classes, I wish I could still keep doing that to just better rounded education and a person.
I think I have an answer now. But in all honesty, piggyback off what these guys are saying, that was the best thing of getting every course here at Adrian, because at first you're like, oh, I'm forced to do this, but you get a good understanding of everything. I worked in Children Protective Services. I was a criminal justice major. I worked in the criminal justice field, but now I'm working in a social worker field. So I can see and present certain things different ways, tell the story, as Mr. Tomasek was saying, a little bit differently. That's all I have.
All right. Does anyone else have questions? Oh, I see. There's one right up here. Oh, well, Olivia's got that one in the back. There we go.
All right, my question's for Peter. So I'm a junior and political science philosophy major, pre-law, and so I was wondering if you had any advice for somebody who is just like generally interested in being a lawyer and being like actually dealing with questions closer to like an appeals court. Any advice on where I should like direct my focus on like getting ready for law school and like getting the most out of it, or like where to go, stuff like that, I guess.
No. No, I mean, it's hard to say. Everybody's experience is so different. I guess kind of use cliche terms. I wouldn't close any doors before you've went through them. I think for me, I think about, so a big thing your first year of law school is to get a summer associate position at a big firm. It pays like $4,000 a month, and coming from Adrian, where I was like a student worker, that's a heck of a lot of money, you know? And so I was super excited about the idea of that. I interviewed for dozens of them, and I didn't get a single one. I got thankfully paid position at a prosecutor's office. And that was one of the best experiences I've ever had my whole life. I mean, I was doing jury trials, and I was, 8 months out of undergrad, which is just crazy to think about. And so I really think that sometimes when you see like failures, I know it like sounds like, one door closes, another opens, whatever that is, but it's really true, and it's pretty surprising. And so I would just, if you see opportunities that you're not sure about taking, I would take them.
Thank you.
I think I saw one up here.
So our presentation today involves this idea that it's really important to understand what a true liberal arts education is really early. So we talk about looking into the future in these distributional classes that you may have not been so excited about. So I'm really curious, what distributional class was the hardest for you but had like the most impacts in your future, I guess?
Ooh, philosophy. One, it was early in the morning. It was an 8 a.m. class. And for me, I was a pre-law major. So the philosophy classes and the pre-law, the language, that always been difficult for me to comprehend. So that helped me out a lot. I was not a fan of philosophy. It was after I graduated, I really picked up the book again and read it and understand it for myself. So, and yes, that means I continue learning after I got my bachelor's.
I think mine would be two. So one was actually philosophy, and the other one I took a cultural history of Japan class. So I am from a very tiny town in the thumb of Michigan where there is zero culture and very limited other ways of thinking. And so both of them really challenged me and opened my eyes. I mentioned before that philosophy was hard. It was hard for all the best reasons. In cultural history of Japan, I learned so much about a culture that I knew nothing about. And that's helped me now in teaching because I get to run into all sorts of people from all different cultures. And so it was really exciting learning about that. And I didn't think that it was ever going to be applied to me in any way. And it really did. So it was really helpful. And both classes were very helpful just in where I am now.
All right. I guess I'll go the other way. One of them was a foreign language for me, and I took Spanish because I'd taken a lot of Spanish in high school. I thought it'd be a relatively easy A, and I'd call it a day. It's going to undermine that clapping. And so that was kind of the way I focused, and it turned out to be good. I mean, I had a high GPA, got a good scholarship, law school worked out. But I really wish that I would have pushed myself to try something different. I've always found Arabic to be fascinating, and now I kind of alluded to like caring about people. The big thing that I've been doing lately is pro bono work for a certain group of people that are on the risk of deportation from Macomb County. And it would be very, very helpful had I pushed myself to try something outside of my comfort zone instead of just sliding into good old Espanol.
All right, here.
Thank you for taking my question, first off. What is your biggest advice for facing adversities and failure post-college life? Specifically the first years after graduating, maybe not 5-10 years after.
So I failed a lot. And I think if you're not failing, you're probably not trying something outside of your comfort zone. It might have been like small failures. Like, for me, I went into graduate school and it was a class that I almost literally failed. I took it as a challenge and it made me work a little bit harder. And so those first couple of years, especially no matter where you go, graduate school, you go into law school, you go into the workforce, you go to trade school, it's going to be really hard the first couple of years. You're finding out who you are as a person. You should expect that it's going to be hard, but hopefully that means that you can roll with that and take them as an opportunity and a challenge. So, if one thing doesn't work out, it doesn't mean you're doomed. It doesn't mean you can't follow your career path. It doesn't mean that what you intended to do isn't possible. It just might mean you have to work a little smarter around it instead of harder in one direction. Let's quote that way.
So I can relate with that question. Graduated Adrian College. I actually went into a different master's program. I went to Wayne State for urban planning, and I failed out in my first semester. I felt defeated, like legitimately defeated. And one of the biggest advice I can give to you is know yourself and know your ability. One of the reasons why I failed was because I didn't put forth the effort, my full effort that I could have done to complete the program way better than what I could have. Granted, in grad school, you had to have a 3.0. I had a B- and C. I was like, oh, that's cool. No, not in grad school. Biggest things, Dr. Young said, if you are not failing, you're not moving forward. You learn from your mistakes. You learn who you are as a person. You learn what you can come from. Most people fail and they just give up. And me being a business minor here, what do they say about 2 to 5 years if a business does not succeed? I mean, I think you should see yourself as a business. You're always going to keep moving forward, evolving as a person in order to succeed in life. So, just because you fail in the first 2 months out of graduating, like he got a $4,000 paycheck after he left. Well, no, you still got paid. You're getting paid right now. As for me, it took me a while before I actually got a job in my field. Like I said, I was a crew member at McDonald's, security guard, doing both at once. I was cleaning this lady's apartment that had roaches and just disgusting for $20. But I finally got that call, and I worked as a youth specialist, then a correction officer at Gus Harrison, and Then I worked as a corporal at the boot camp in Chelsea. So don't see it as a failure, see it as a door opener.
Anyone else have questions? All right, well, I have one then. Several of you have mentioned that you kind of had this idea in your head of what you were going to do when you left, right? Or even what you were going to do after you left graduate school. And you've made some kind of turns and twists in your career paths. Could you speak to things that maybe have kind of helped you make your choices, whether they were mentors or whether it was a specific experience or something that caused you to kind of make a turn in your path? Could you talk a little bit about how that came about?
So this is going to be pretty cliche advice too, but you have to go with your gut. That is the biggest thing that I've kind of became comfortable with. If I have a gut feeling one way or the other about something, I can get tons of input from other people, and sometimes you deal with backlash when you make a decision and people are unhappy with it. But sometimes you just have to go with your gut, and I think that leaves you at the end of the day, if you can kind of look at yourself in the mirror and you're comfortable with what you did, that's a pretty big chunk of the analysis.
So when I was here at Adrian, I didn't really know what my next steps were after getting a bachelor's degree, and I was encouraged. So Dr. Kloss is a huge mentor of mine to encourage me to try out graduate school, and it was a really good path for me. I didn't know much else of what I could have done at that point, and it worked out. So I kind of went into graduate school almost blindly, but I had good mentors while I was there. And something that took some time for me is that I used to not be very good at asking for help. I'm a pretty stubborn person, so I don't like to do things with people's help. I like to do it on my own. And so actually using the resources that were right in place, so my advisor, my more senior graduate members, other faculty members that weren't my research advisor, and I said, hey, I think I really like teaching, and what can I do to further that? And so I tried to use the help that was there. It was really hard at first to ask for help, but ended up helping me along my path to find out what I really loved to do and what I wanted to keep on doing. So using those resources that are in place, you've got faculty here now, you've got peers that might have some experience. If you start at a new job, even if it's not the favorite one or you think it's your career, ask around there and kind of build your network for people to ask for help. And it's okay to ask for help. And that's a big thing that I think helped guide my path eventually and get me on the path that, when I asked for what I wanted, then it was better to get me where I wanted to go.
I guess for me, it always goes back to what does Courtney want to do? When I was a kid, I was like 5 years old, I wanted to be a Power Ranger, slash superhero, slash police officer. My great-grandmother, may she rest in peace, she said, no, it's too dangerous. And I was like, okay. So obviously I came here, I became a criminal justice major in the legal track, as I said earlier. However, I had to realize, I didn't do well in the LSAT, which I'm assuming you blew that out the water. So I had to realize my diploma said criminal justice. So that was the biggest thing, like, okay, I can apply for Michigan State Troopers. I can apply to be a youth specialist. I can apply to do something in law enforcement. That's the biggest thing. So life is always going to be a roller coaster. So you just have to figure out, what's going to happen next. That's what happened with me. I started with youth specialists, and I was applying for a security position for the state. That security position was a corrections officer at Gus Harrison. And if I tell you, I had an anxiety attack when they called me and said I had the job because I didn't know anything about prisoners or prison other than what you see on TV. And I come to find out that the people in the prison, the prisoners, as well as the officers, are human beings just like you and me. They have feelings, they do make mistakes. We're there to correct their mistakes. So, yeah, just pretty much follow your gut, know what you're going to do. Just take the time sometimes to figure out what you're going to do next.
Thank you. I really appreciate all the perspective you guys have given us. I think it's been really insightful to kind of hear somebody who's maybe only 10 years or so away from where you guys are sitting now. So I really appreciate what you had to share, and can we thank them? All right, well, I hope you've enjoyed our program thus far, and I look forward to sharing the rest of the day with you guys. So we have some more student presentations that are set to go at 2 o'clock, about 15 or so minutes from now. So for those of you presenting, good luck, you're gonna do great. And for the rest of us, hopefully we can go out and support the rest of our presenters today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.